But also, this is a very unique subcommittee, and so I thank the members who are here as well. When it comes to looking at the welfare and benefits to developing nations and those who are looking for stability and reform, I think that partisanship takes a back seat. And I think that you hear that across the panel today. We understand the concerns for police reform, but I think that also speaks to the needs for rule of law and reform as well. I think that we understand that, you know, Nigeria is 225 million people and look to surpass in population the United States by 2050. I think that we look at the fact that it is one of the most wealthy, resource-rich nations in all of the African continent. And we also know that, unfortunately, your country has a great deal of a resource that has been almost a curse to many nations, and that's oil. You notice almost every single nation, which is an oil-rich nation, always finds itself in turmoil with other nations trying to exploit these resources, as we've seen with China. We've seen the same thing across most of the African continent as China continues to try and utilize the Belt and Road Initiative to capture all the African continent, expand the Eurasian borders, but also take over Oceania to dominate the shipping lanes and also other types of economic and resource turmoil for the West. I say all that because, as we saw with the Ashanti Belt in Ghana or in other areas, China's continuation of exploitation of nations who are in need of critical security reform is something that I think the rest of the continent is starting to come to more of a realization on. They always come in with great promises, but they rarely deliver on that, and in that, I think that opens a window for America to start doing its part. There's been a real inconsistency with America when it comes to Africa, and I think that our priorities shouldn't necessarily just center itself around the Middle East, but around continents such as Africa, which plays a vital role in the stability and one of the closest when it comes to the United States. I want to ask a question with regards to ECOWAS. What will be the effect if Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso exited ECOWAS, and what influence could Nigeria play in the region or through ECOWAS to encourage democracy and good governance, which is something that was mentioned? For whomever would like.
So, thank you for the question. So, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are the three renegade states that have threatened to leave ECOWAS. And I said threatened because per ECOWAS rules, they're supposed to give a one-year notification if they're going to leave. So when, for instance, Mauritania was going to leave in 2007, it did the same. When it wanted to come back in 2017, it followed the rules. My sense is that these three countries, two things, are using perhaps this as a bargaining chip. They want something. There are three military dictators in those countries who want to hold on to power. It's not impossible that they're trying to send a signal to the Tinubu administration. But we also know that they're not, these three countries are not alone, that there is an attempt on the part of Russia using the Wagner Group to fundamentally redraw the map of West Africa. So it's important to keep that in mind. The United States should assist Nigeria, which is leading the core group of ECOWAS, the 12 other countries, to keep ECOWAS an economic community of West African democracies and prevent any attempt to make it an economic community of West African soldiers.
Thank you so much, and I absolutely agree that we should strengthen ECOWAS by weakening China's grip on it for exploitation. I want to switch just for a moment to Mr. Wolf and the Bishop. In 2020, the previous administration under President Trump designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern. In 2021, the Biden administration removed that designation. In your opinion, was there any markable improvement in freedom of religion in Nigeria that would have led the State Department to believe that it's time to remove that?
Congressman, absolutely none. Absolutely, positively, categorically none. It's actually gotten worse. And the State Department has shown no reason why they would have removed that designation. The CPC designation is very important. We give them $1 billion a year. We owe it to the Nigerian people to help them, but there's been no improvement at all, so no.
Yes, the situation is getting worse by the day with the killings that are going on. And I know it's because there is a lot of ammunition going around, which I know is very strongly coming from the trade relationship we have with these countries. Now, I would like just to make a suggestion. You know, that for trust is earned between Nigeria and US, that is why the elections are going on. And in any of the visits, I would suggest to engage the church leadership, the religious leadership, so that we'll be able to hear, because in Nigeria, as I talk to you now, the religious leaders are at the grassroots of the population that is being hunted every day. And when discussions are taken at that top level, they don't get involved. And once anything happens, they fall back to the church. And of course, we have that as a response. It's an imperative to take care of these people. And
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman,
Bishop
for the
Inagbe.
additional time and indulging us to hear that fully
It's
out.
very important. Thank you, my friend.